Hey everybody, it's time for another Midweek Connect. And this week I want to reflect back a little bit on what we talked about on Sunday, because I got some healthy pushback and someone asked me a question, and I think it's a great thing for us to wrestle with today. On Sunday I talked a little bit about how at our church, at Chapel Hill Church, we'd love to see some more people coming to know Christ and seeing lives transformed and going from death to life. And the question was a very simple question, but it was great for me to wrestle with a little bit, was someone asked, well, how do we go about doing that? There's a lot of ways we can do that. I think the first place we start is prayer, and I've been talking a lot about prayer recently. And in this instance in particular, we need God. We can't save people. We can't change their lives and their hearts, but the Spirit of God can. And it's wise for us to say, God, who and what and where, and how do we do this, and so forth. And so it's important for us to see a couple different things here. The first piece of this is that prayer is a consistent reconnecting with God and His power. Prayer is a consistent reconnecting with God and His power. We need His power for this to happen. It's not something we do. It's what He does, and prayer does that. Prayer takes our focus off of us and puts it on Him and His purposes. And it reminds us it causes us to reflect on God's purpose for our lives, for we who are believers. God has a purpose for us. Remember, we talked about Matthew 28 a few weeks ago, to go and make disciples. That's a purpose, and His power causes that to happen. So we reconnect with God and His power. We reflect on the purpose God has for us as believers, but then it also reminds us of His plan for others. God has a plan for those who don't know Him, and for us, it's our job is to reach out to them and take part in that plan, take part in that book of their life, where their life is transformed. So the question and what we'd want to see is, we want to see salvations take place. We want to see lives transformed. How do we do it? I'd ask you to join me in prayer. I think it's the first thing we do is start praying, God, would you please bring people, not just into the building, but bring connections in our lives personally, where we have conversations that lead to questions about you, God. And Lord, I pray you give me wisdom to do this. And Lord, please remind me of your power. Please remind me of my purpose. Please remind me of the plan you have for these people. And Lord, please use me to be a part of this. And if we're all praying this as individuals, imagine what happens when we come together for services on Sunday, where we can share stories about people who have come to know Christ or situations in their lives that we've gotten to speak into. Can you imagine what it would be like if people walk in the door just because we've been praying, they come in the door and they come to know Christ? See, I think this is where we start. Certainly we have programs, we have great things and plans in place for ourselves, but none of this comes together unless we're asking God and for His leading and for His help in this. So I'm asking you to join me, church. If we really want to see this happen, we need to pray. We got to ask God for help in this and for direction. Would you join me in that? I hope so. I'll talk to you soon.